Now, here's what the media really misses here. Well, the media is so anxious to lump all religions into one and say Muslims are no different than Christians. Well, if you want to talk that way, then let's say it this way. Crazy Christians are no different than crazy Muslims. How's that? Anybody who wants to kill, they're crazy. But there's a difference between a crazy Christian and a non-crazy Christian. And a crazy Muslim and a non-crazy Muslim. But there appears to be more crazy Muslims than crazy Christians. What do you say we all stand together against the crazy Muslims and the crazy Christians and the crazy Jews and the crazy Buddhists and everybody else? Crazy is the operative word here. They think it might be an act of terror. What was it? What was it? Was it a trip to the soda shop? What was it? Was it a possible a tailor accident? He had his shears out and he was just gonna trim some thread around the guy's neck. Is that what it was? Is that a possibility? Was there another YouTube video? This was clearly a terrorist act by cold-hearted, crazy Muslims. Period. Now, if you agree with me that the greatest generation would never have done that, what's the difference? What's the difference between the greatest generation and our generation? Two things. One, they didn't have wussified leaders all over the world. They didn't have girls for leaders. And no offense to women. I mean girls. I swear to you, our political leaders on this planet make a brownie troop look like seals. Why don't you get your little girl underpants off and put some man pants on and man up and tell the American people and the world the truth? The truth is, terror exists. Terror is a tactic. And who is using that tactic? Well, I'll tell you, a few people. But the main group that's using this tactic are crazy-ass Muslims. And that's what needs to be said. Not, we're going to look into this. What do you need to look into? The guy had a butcher knife and blood on his hands, and he was saying, Allah Akbar. What more do you need, Sherlock? Now, here's the second thing they're missing. There was one individual that stood up. One. It was a woman. That's why I said, no offense to women. It was a woman that stood up. In fact, she didn't stand up. She first had to stand up, reach up, pull the little string to ring the bell so the bus would stop that she was on. So she got off the bus because she saw blood in the streets. She looked around all the sheep being led right directly to slaughter and walked up to the guy with the blood on his hands and said, "What the hell is going on?" She thought it was an accident. Then she realized he just killed him. So she said, "What is it you want?" This woman approached him, confronted him. She then looked back at the crowd with contempt and disgust. You know what made her stand up in a bus? She said her Christian belief. She's a Catholic. Her Christian belief. When she found out it wasn't an accident, why did she pursue him? Because she said there were children there. And she didn't want it better to happen to her than a child. Where were the rest of the sheep? Here's the difference between us and the greatest generation. The greatest generation, we had leaders. And the greatest generation, we had God. There were things that were bigger than us. There were things worth living for, and there were things worth dying for. What are those things worth dying for anymore? What are those things worth standing for anymore? Your job, your car, your house. How many of us will sit down to save our children? I don't want my children to live in a world like that. It's no life to doom our children to a life run by the Muslim Brotherhood. It is no life. You're leaving a world that is going to be run by crazy-ass Muslims if you don't wake up and start telling the truth. We are being co-opted. We are being taught. Do you really think that anybody would have allowed this to happen in the greatest generation? The men would have looked at each other and said, "Get him." You don't do it on your own. But they weren't alone. Why do you think these people are so bold? Because you have been taught to be silent. What is the difference between the 3 airplanes that crashed on September 11th? The first 2 didn't know what was going on, and they thought they would be left to live. They thought it was a hijacking, and that was it. They didn't think anybody was crazy enough to fly them into a building. The third plane, because they had information, they knew. And Todd Beamer stood up. It's better to go down fighting than go down like sheep. We're going to save people. And so they rushed, and they lost. But we remember their name. I will never forget. I will never forget Todd Beamer's name. I will never forget Let's Roll. And I am ashamed to say I will never forget the sheep in the streets of London. Choose you today. Who do you serve? Choose today, life or death. Choose today what the future is you want your children to live under. Freedom? Freedom where, yes, at times we can be divisive. Or death, because that is your choice. Submit or die. As for me and my family, I choose God.